You're watching Fox 7 Austin News at 9.
Thanks for choosing Fox 7 Austin News at 9. I'm Destiny Chance. Well, there's a lot of rain in the upcoming forecast, so we're going to check in with meteorologist Carlo Falco. So, Carlo, how's it looking this evening?
Well, it's kind of wet, it's kind of drizzly, it's kind of just wet and damp out there. We got a lot of low-level clouds overhead. It's just not going to be seeing much stars, any of the moon shining through any of those clouds right now. We do have quite a bit of moisture out there, but most of the rain is off to our east right now. Sure, we got a little bit of shower activity in the Austin metro, slowly moving up from the south down by San Marcos, Canyon Lake, and Buda. You can see more of those rain showers out towards the east, but a lot of energy out to the west. Low pressure system spinning its way along by Los Angeles, and look at all of those clouds out by El Paso and into Mexico. All of those clouds do have to move through central Texas, which means that over the next several hours, we're going to be increasing the rain chances as those temperatures stay pretty steady. Low temperatures should fall into the upper 50s as temperatures fall with a little bit of rain, and thunderstorms are possible, especially as you get up early tomorrow morning. In addition to all that moisture, we are going to see the potential for some pretty thick fog getting up very early tomorrow morning. Less than 1 mile visibility for Austin before everything clears out by about noon or so, but we will see some off and on showers and thunderstorms through tomorrow morning and then into the afternoon. So tonight into tomorrow morning, I'll give it about a 40% chance for rain showers, but that increases tomorrow morning. So tomorrow will be a pretty nasty, slow commute. And then we get the chance for more rain all the way through until 1 to 2 o'clock before we get a little bit of a break. But it's going to be a brief break because then the big system starts to roll on in. We have the chance for more rain, more heavy rain. We'll talk about it coming up more in your your Fox 7 Austin forecast.
We have new information about a New Braunfels teen who was shot and killed last night. Emergency crews responded to a call about a gunshot victim around 8:30 Saturday night at a neighborhood off I-35. There they found a 16-year-old girl who had been shot. She died on scene. After several hours of investigations, police learned the victim was shot by her older brother. The 17-year-old is being charged with murder and remains in police custody. The incident is still under investigation, and police are working with school officials to provide counseling services. An investigation is underway after a number of shots were fired at a Hays County Sheriff's deputy last night during a miles-long police chase. It stretched from Dripping Springs in Hays County to near Johnson City in Blanco County. Fox 7 Austin's Shannon Ryan joins us in studio with the details. Shannon.
Yeah, Destiny, thankfully that deputy is okay. Hays County Sheriff Gary Cutler tells me his office won't know how many shots were fired until they get a chance to review in-car footage. The sheriff's office was busy last night and this morning with a manhunt that followed that chase. A chase spanning more than 20 miles.
I heard it flying.
It all started here on Old Fitzhugh Road around 9:30 Saturday night. A Hays County Sheriff's deputy tried to pull a vehicle over for some sort of registration issue, but the car sped off.
A car going flying by, and the next thing you know, I heard sirens everywhere.
The car got on nearby Highway 290.
It really started going fast.
Eventually crossing into Blanco County.
Numerous shots were fired at the deputy from the vehicle. I can't say how many shots at this time, but he was under gunfire.
The deputy is okay. The suspect's car crashed at the intersection of Highway 290 and 281 just south of Johnson City in front of this RV park. Sharon Kerr was at a party at the park's community center.
The policeman came in and they asked us to turn the music off, turn the lights off, and lock the doors.
Kerr thought it was a joke, but soon learned one person had been taken into custody at the site of the wreck. 2 others, a man and woman, escaped and were somewhere in the area of the park.
2 of them had jumped the fence and they were in the field somewhere.
Deputies escorted residents to their RVs one by one and combed through the area.
We had helicopters up, we had drones, we had canines, we had SWAT, numerous officers, Blanco County deputies, Department of Public Safety, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms with canines out of San Antonio.
But deputies didn't get their big break until Saturday morning when Teresa Hayes and a number of residents received knocks on their doors.
There's a young woman standing there. She couldn't have been more than 20, and she just looked completely out of place, but she asked me for a phone charger, and I just said no. shut the curtain.
Outside at the rec center, a young man was sitting down. The two matched the description police had given residents, so Hayes called 911.
I had a pistol in my pocket, and I had another one in the bedroom, so I don't scare easily, but I was prepared.
Later that morning, police arrested the duo. They've since been identified as 19-year-old Clarissa Soto and 23-year-old Nathaniel Castro. They're both charged with evading arrest and aggravated assault on a public servant. The third person they were with isn't facing charges at this time.
The citizens, the one that kept reporting information to us this morning, that actually helped lead to the apprehension of the two at large.
And we're told Castro is someone law enforcement is familiar with. He has a lengthy criminal record. Charges include aggravated assault, robbery, and engaging in organized criminal activity.
Early Saturday morning, 4 Round Rock businesses were burglarized. One of the stores affected was Snack Room, which was broken into 24 hours before it was scheduled to open. Fox 7 Austin's Amanda Ruiz sat down with the owner, whose cameras caught everything.
Jarrell Booker has been looking forward to opening his own business for a long time.
Entrepreneur by design, and I think ice cream and popcorn are great for kids and parents and families, and I thought I wanted to bring that to Round Rock.
For months, he's been prepping for the opening of Snack Room, collecting inventory for an endless list of sweet and savory treats.
Snack Room's a family-owned business. We sell ice cream, shakes, hot tea, hot chocolate, hot cider, as well as gourmet popcorn. But the beauty of it, we also have spiked flavors of shakes and ice cream and tea.
The day before Snack Room was scheduled to open, he received some not-so-sweet news.
We learned early Saturday morning that we had a break-in.
A little before 6 Sunday morning, this was caught on Booker's store cameras.
It's a little creepy and discomforting to see people crawling through your restaurant.
3 suspects, dressed in dark clothing, attempted to search for money, but came up empty-handed.
But since we haven't opened, they went back out the same way they came in.
They may have walked away from Snack Room with nothing, but that same morning, they broke into 3 other businesses, getting away with money and other belongings.
It's a violation personally of the family-owned restaurant and also the community. I live in Round Rock. My family and kids go to school in Round Rock, and it hurts to know that people are just knocking in windows and taking people's belongings and taking things that aren't theirs.
Amanda Ruiz, Fox 7 Austin News.
The Round Rock Police Department is investigating the break-ins. As for Snack Room, owner Jarrell Booker says his business has rescheduled its opening to this Thursday. Health officials in mainland China say close to 100 people died today from the coronavirus, bringing the death toll to at least 908 worldwide, with more than 40,000 people still infected. The United Nations says the number of coronavirus cases will continue growing as tests are pending on thousands of suspected cases. The World Health Organization is sending health experts to China to investigate the epidemic. Coronavirus deaths have surpassed the total number of people killed in China when the severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, broke out in 2002 and 2003.
As we've said from the beginning, one of the areas that we're worried about for transmission is human-to-human transmission in healthcare facilities.
Symptoms of the coronavirus include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. U.S. health officials say there aren't many preemptive steps that can be taken to avoid infection. However, practicing basic sanitary measures on a regular basis could be helpful. Currently, there isn't a vaccine to protect people against the virus, but the National Institutes of Health in Maryland tells Fox News they're in early stages of developing one. We have an update on the deadly attack overseas that killed 2 U.S. service members. The Department of Defense says the attack happened during a joint U.S.-Afghan operation in eastern Afghanistan. U.S. Army officials have confirmed Sergeant First Class Javier Gutierrez from San Antonio died from wounds he sustained during the combat mission. Fox's Trey Yingst has more from Jerusalem.
2 U.S. soldiers were killed yesterday and 6 others wounded when an individual dressed in an Afghan military uniform reportedly opened fire on the group. According to a statement released by U.S. forces in Afghanistan, the attack was carried out with a machine gun after the special forces held a meeting with local leadership in the eastern part of the country. While some are reporting this as an insider attack, others are waiting to make that assessment since the person who conducted the shooting was not with the forces before the event occurred.
The operation is ongoing there. We still do not know whether he was an infiltrator or it was done by mistake. A delegation has gone there for a comprehensive investigation.
The Americans killed come from the U.S. Army's 7th Special Forces Group, and the Army says the family members of the deceased are currently being notified. According to a statement released by the Department of Defense, both of the soldiers were 28 years old and are first-class sergeants, one from Texas and one from New Mexico. At least one member of the Afghan Special Forces was also killed. No group has yet claimed responsibility, but officials tell Fox they aren't ruling out the possibility of an attack by ISIS. Currently, there are more than 13,000 American forces serving in Afghanistan, despite the fact that the Taliban controls more territory than they did back in 2001 when the original American operation was launched there. President Trump has pledged to start removing American troops from the country, although negotiations with the Taliban are ongoing. In Jerusalem, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
A big push before the primary. I'm Lauren Blanchard in New Hampshire. How the White House hopefuls are going full steam to win over voters. That's coming up.
You're watching Fox 7 Austin News with Destiny Chance.
With just 2 days to go, the Democratic White House hopefuls are kicking their campaigns into high gear as they make a final push for support in New Hampshire ahead of Tuesday's primary. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has the latest from the campaign trail.
The countdown to the first in the nation primary is on, and the Democratic candidates are pushing for votes on their path to the White House. Former Vice President Joe Biden addressing his fourth-place finish in Iowa as he tries to rebound in the Granite State.
I congratulate Pete. I congratulate Bernie. They did a great job, and they were really well organized, better organized than we were in Iowa. I viewed from the beginning that you have to take the first four as one.
Both Pete Buttigieg and Senator Bernie Sanders claiming victory in the Iowa caucus, but two new polls out Sunday give Sanders the edge.
I'm running against some guys, Pete Buttigieg among others, who have raised campaign funds from over $40 billion 40 billionaires.
And Buttigieg isn't afraid of swiping back.
I respect Senator Sanders, but when I hear this message go out that you're either for a revolution or you got to be for the status quo, that's a vision of the country that doesn't have room for most of us.
With the campaigns likely to continue heating up between now and Tuesday, some voters worry all this infighting could be bad for the party. Senator Elizabeth Warren reminding crowds the goal is to defeat President Trump.
The way we do this is not by launching a bunch of attacks on each other and trying to tear each other down.
Meanwhile, Buttigieg is drawing record crowds, more than 1,800 people showing up to a rally here on Sunday, making it the largest New Hampshire event for any Democrat this election cycle. In Nashua, New Hampshire, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Tonight, days after the Iowa caucus, the state's Democratic Party officially awarding Pete Buttigieg the largest delegate count with 14, and Senator Sanders 12 delegates. There's a strong chance your work week will have a rainy start. Meteorologist Carla Falco has your full forecast right after this quick break.
Fox 7 Austin weather with meteorologist Carlo Falco.
Hey, you guys ready for another rainy day? We certainly got a ton of rain for this afternoon. Well, I guess I say a ton of rain. We picked up a couple hundredths of an inch here and there across this the area, but we have a lot of moisture. We have a ton more clouds. We got a little bit more fog coming our way, and certainly a little bit of rain happening on the radar right now. You can see heavier rain up to the north, but little sprinkles moving into Austin right about now. It's still going to be a pretty damp night with a lot of cloud cover, and there's more to come. Look at all of this cloud cover down towards the Pacific, all across Mexico, El Paso getting some clouds, even some rain, relatively heavy rain happening out in California. Los Angeles is where our local low pressure system is. You can see that rotation right here. The spin in the map is going to be heading our way. That's our low pressure system. That's still got to dive a little bit to the south and then push all the way across, and it's just going to take its time moving across the desert southwest. And as it does so, it's just going to continue to drive a ton more energy towards us, which means it's going to interact with the moisture coming in off the Gulf of Mexico, which is accounted for the humidity for today, also accounted for the warmth, but then a little bit of cold air is going to get into everything, and that's just going to throw a whole big old wrench in it. What that means is that a lot of rain is coming our way for the next 3 days before finally Thursday and Friday we clear things out. It also means that we are going to be dealing with a little bit of fog until we get to about noon or so and everything clears on out, but that's all because we're going to get some rain, which is going to wash that moisture out of the air and at least clear us out a little tiny bit. Low temperature tonight, relatively mild, low right around 57. Thunderstorms are possible, especially as you get up and out tomorrow morning. Lows out into the hill country, 52 for Atlanta, out towards central parts of Texas, Austin, Lockhart, closer to the metro. Up to about 65 degrees down to Lockhart and San Marcos. Rain showers are going to keep those temperatures up a little bit, and we're going to be into the mid-60s by the time you're getting out there into the afternoon hours. High right around 65 degrees. Cold front is going to be coming in later into the afternoon. Look at all of this moisture to come. We're looking up to the north. This is going to be our cold air, and that's going to drive all of this moisture in from the south, and then finally turn it into a bunch of rain as this low pressure system departs up to the north and east. What this all means is that early tomorrow morning, off and on showers, possibly a thunderstorm or two happening across Austin by about noon. Off and on showers, possibly a thunderstorm or two. Same thing by the afternoon. We get a bit of a break Monday night into Tuesday morning, but don't expect everything to clear on out. We still have more rain to come. Look at this, Tuesday, 9:30 in the morning, more rain coming our way, heavier rain coming on Tuesday into the afternoon, and then the big heavy stuff comes. This is early Wednesday morning into your Wednesday morning commute. So a lot of rain headed our direction. We could be seeing upwards of 1 inch, possibly up to 3 inches. If you are under one of the focus points, check out San Saba and Mason. About 3 inches possible up there, nearly 2 inches of rain expected for the Austin metro. So a lot of rain coming our way for the next 3-ish days. On the back half of Wednesday, we will start to clear things out. Then we're going to be cool. It's going to feel like winter for Thursday, Friday, but no chance for rain.
When Fox 7 Austin News at 9 returns, learn about the spacecraft planned to take off tonight in Florida with a mission to get a never-before-seen look at the sun.
You're watching Fox 7 Austin News at 9.
A launch attempt of a rocket carrying cargo to the International Space Station was aborted today, moments before liftoff. Northrop Grumman's mission was scrubbed due to an issue with ground support equipment at the facility in Virginia. The company came within 2 or 3 minutes of launching the ship in Virginia when the countdown was abruptly halted. The company's spacecraft is named after Robert Henry Lawrence Jr., a member of the U.S. Air Force who became the first African-American astronaut in 1967. A new date for getting the supplies to the ISS has not been scheduled. All systems are go tonight for a spacecraft set to get a never-before-seen look at the sun. The top of the hour, the United Launch Alliance is sending up a rocket that will carry a satellite into space aimed at studying and providing important new information about our closest star. Fox's Matt Trezza reports from Cape Canaveral.
The United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket moving onto the launch pad. ULA officials saying it's a proud moment.
This will be the first launch for ULA in 2020, but it will be our 137th launch as a company.
Its payload, a $1.5 billion satellite built to help scientists study the sun. Like the Earth, the sun has poles, a top and a bottom that researchers have never studied before. The orbiter is going to circle this way around the sun so that scientists can get a good view from both angles. Once in space, it'll sling past Earth, then loop around Venus, giving it enough trajectory to move into a tilted orbit around the sun. Scientists say this will give us important new information about our closest star, particularly about its magnetic fields that can impact astronauts, satellites, and everyday technology like radio and GPS.
So some of the science that we want to try and study is a study of the magnetic field, for instance. We don't know what the magnetic field of a star looks like when we get really, really close. We know a lot of the stuff that goes on with a star, like the sun, is very intimately related to the magnetic field.
Visitors like Mark Froh are already heading to places like Jetty Park to get the best viewing spots for the launch.
We're anxious to see it. Once in a lifetime thing, I guess.
He says the future is in space.
I just think it's exciting, and I think everybody benefits from it.
February is Black History Month, and here locally, Volmer Overton Sr. is talking about his lasting legacy fighting for civil rights. The sit-down interview when we return.
watching Fox 7 Austin News with Destiny Chance.
Fox 7 Austin is proud to celebrate Black History Month. Tonight, we are continuing our look at the impact Richard Overton and his family have had in the Austin community. Here's part of the second part of our conversation with Volma Overton Jr.
Here with Mr. Volma Overton Jr. He's joining us throughout the month of February for Black History Month. Volma, your dad, Volma Overton Sr., was a very important civil rights leader in Austin. Tell us about your dad.
Dad was pretty active in the movement of trying to change America. And I asked him long before, why did he do all this? And he said, I've done most of the things that I've done so your life wouldn't be as tough. My life and my other siblings and everybody else wouldn't have to go through a lot of the same things that he went through. But he was president of the local NAACP for 20 plus years. And one of his biggest things that he did, one of the major changes is he filed a lawsuit. My baby sister was a plaintiff in that lawsuit. He went before the U.S. Supreme Court that started the desegregation of the Austin schools. And that was against AISD. And my baby sister was in elementary school when he filed a lawsuit, and she was out of high school before it was settled. It took 11 years of litigation to get settled. But Dad had, my sisters and I, we were like 11 months apart, so he had us out on the picket line as young kids, like 5, 6, and 7. So we grew up with this for many, many years, doing things that we did not understand as youngsters. But we went through a lot, and from being threatened and being called all kinds of names, having rocks thrown at us, to even being shot at. So, you know, we had all this fear that we grew up with about others as we were out with my father.
Looking back on your dad's legacy, what comes to mind?
Well, I look at my father and see, when my father passed, we had no idea all the people that my father had touched. And a lot of people came and talked to us, and at his funeral, some people talked about a lot of the things that he did. And we were just amazed because he was just dad to us. But my father was fighting stuff even up to, he passed at 81 years old. He was still doing things then at 81 years old. So it was just part of his life. And he felt like that was his tour, that was his blessing. He was God's servant. He had a strong faith in our Heavenly Father. And I think that's what kept him going, kept him moving and doing things. And he loved people, and he hated to see how this country was set up in hatred, the Jim Crow era, and so many things that he grew up with. He tried to help change America.
Yeah, and your dad told you that he was doing this for you, for your future.
For us and for everyone else, that he didn't want us to go through things that he had to go through back in his time. Yeah. And from the segregated military time to segregated schools, segregated transportation vehicles, all of that stuff.
Austin's a better place because of your dad?
I say it is, yes, yeah.
Awesome. Volma Overton Jr., thanks so much.
Got bad news for any of you who love that sunshine. The clouds are sticking around for several more days. 3 at least more days of some steady rain. And talk rain totals come out.
Fox 7 Austin weather with meteorologist Carlo Falco.
Well, we're going to continue to see these rain showers move from south to north as we go throughout tonight. We're going to see some more fog, some thick clouds, and really we won't break out of these clouds for the next several days. This is all as, of course, we do have some light rain showers moving from the south up towards Austin. Light rain just happening just outside of Austin, just to the west of downtown, and then right up and down that I-35 corridor. We're going to be seeing some off and on light to even moderate rain showers. But a lot more energy is headed our way. You can see the spin in the atmosphere over Los Angeles and a whole cloud shield out by El Paso up towards Albuquerque and extending all the way down into the Pacific Ocean. That means that we have a ton of moisture, and that's going to manifest itself with some pretty bad visibility early in the morning tomorrow. This is before that sun rises, before most of you are going to be getting up and out and heading to work, but less than 1 mile visibility for Austin, about 1 mile visibility up towards Georgetown, same thing down to the south towards San Marcos. By the time you get to about 7:30 in the morning, some showers should wash out most of the fog in the northern half of our viewing area, but Austin still dealing with some pretty thick fog and some rain showers right in time for that morning commute. So give yourself some extra time to drive to work, because it's just going to be a nasty drive to work. And then we finally clear things out as you're there. But we don't really ever get rid of those rain showers. It's going to be off and on rain showers through the morning. But look at those temperatures, not all that bad. Tomorrow's high temperature right around 65 degrees. Winds shifting around to the north into the later afternoon hours as a cold front's going to move from north to south. And that's going to push our temperatures down into the 50s for the afternoon. So our low temperature is actually going to be happening later into the afternoon than our high. So make sure you bring your jacket with you to work, because it will be much cooler when you leave work than when you're going to work. That could throw people for a loop. You're also going to be seeing some off and on rain showers through the afternoon. Look at this right here. 7 in the morning on Monday, off and on showers for Austin. We get a bit of a break by about noon in western parts of the viewing area, but still seeing those off and on showers through central Texas all the way into the afternoon before finally we get a bit of a dry time. Basically, it's not going to be raining. It's still going to be cloudy, still going to be damp. And then we get into Tuesday, 5:45, little bits of rain showers out to the west. Heavier rain starts to move in by about 9:30 to 10 a.m. before finally we get the moderate rain all the way through Tuesday afternoon and evening. And then Wednesday night is when the big burst of very heavy rain comes our way. Austin going to be seeing another nasty morning commute before finally everything starts to try to dry out by the evening. Still seeing some residual showers by about 6:45 or so on Wednesday. So a 3-day rain event we're talking about, possibly up to 3 inches of rain for western parts of the viewing area, close to about 2 inches for Austin and Georgetown, and hopefully all of it does not come down all at once. But we are going to see finally some clearing by the time we get to Thursday and Friday. That's after a powerful cold front moves in. That keeps temperatures very winter-like into the upper 50s and low 60s.
It's a high school buzzer beater that's gained millions of views on social media and was even featured on ESPN Sports Center. After the break, hear from the student manager given a chance on senior night.
watching Fox 7 Austin News at 9.
Today was the state bowling competition for the Special Olympics of Texas. Athletes competed at 9 main events across Texas, including right here in Austin. It was a unified bowling competition, which means athletes with and without disabilities were competing on the same team for a state medal. The director of competition and games for Special Olympics Texas, Chad Eason, said it's not about who wins or loses, it's about seeing the athletes have fun.
That's the best part about it, is seeing the smiles on the athletes' faces. That keeps you going. Sometimes you deal with some parents, coaches who they look out for their athletes in the best way they can, but when you see it might be a tough day for anyone out there, when the athletes get the smiles, they get their medals at the end of the day no matter what happened, keeps them coming back for more, it keeps us going.
About 4,000 athletes took part today across the state. Well, check this out. A high school basketball team's student manager recently got the chance to play on senior night after the head coach wanted to make sure that all the seniors on the team participated in the final game of the season. As Fox's Justin Felder reports, that team sheet included Daniel Luck, who's been assisting the team for the past 2 seasons.
It's where they do the little circle and they throw up the rebound and then they get it and they basically scrimmage down and back. It's one of those dreams you don't tell people about, you know?
Pace Academy senior team manager Daniel Lucky is one of those guys that never shows up in the stat sheet, but every good team needs.
You know, he's the first one here. He's the last one to leave. When I'm leaving, he's leaving. And so I had to find a way to reward him.
We're going to reward you senior night. You're dressing out with us senior night.
That's Lucky learning he'd get to dress out for last Friday night's game, senior night, for the first time ever.
I felt like my dream came true that night. It kept getting better.
So that's it, right? Cool video, nice moment, end of story. Oh, not exactly. Are you tired of telling the story about the game?
No. I'm going to tell it for the rest of my life.
Lucky got into the game with about 3 minutes to go. Scored a quick basket, actually, but then this happened.
Seeing that shot go in was out of this world.
For one day, for one moment, this young man realized and lived the dream. He was able to make the most out of it, and I'm just ecstatic for him because he earned this. I want him to, enjoy it for the rest of his life.
I'm not, a big varsity athlete. I'm not into theater. I'm not a big significant man on this campus, but they see one of us, having his moment, everyone rallies around it. It's a really great community.
Lucky's video's been seen by millions of people. He's gotten more messages than he can count. And of course, he's back to work at the very next practice. And if Pace Academy needs some quick offense off the bench during the playoffs, well, they know the guy who's got the moves. In Atlanta, Justin Felder, Fox 5 Sports.
After leaving UT's basketball game against Texas Tech because of injuries, we'll give you the latest on 2 of the Horns starters as Texas prepares for top-ranked Baylor. Plus, as opening weekend of the XFL wraps up, Fox 7 Austin's John High will let you know how the Dallas Renegades did in their opener. Next in sports.
I think I finally figured out that dumb key thing we use. Because I kept using my dang finger. But for that first password, it's like your regular password. It's taken me months to figure that out.
Hey John?
Yeah.
Do you need anything on Pat Weiss, women's golf coach?
No. I mean, Cody had said something earlier about it, but UT hadn't sent anything, so I didn't mess with it.
He said they just put it out. Hurry, because I gotta change the lights.
No. She gone.
Fox 7 Austin Sports with John Hyde.
Still no word yet on whether the UT men's basketball team will be shorthanded tomorrow night when Baylor, the nation's #1 team, comes to town. The Horns had 2 starters go down with injuries in the second half of Saturday's loss to Texas Tech. First, it was freshman forward Kai Jones. Then a little later, junior guard Jace Febres. The Horns' top three-point shooter went down and had to be helped off. Neither returned. Here's what Coach Smart had to say about their injuries after the game.
I asked Jace what happened, and he just said he came down and it really hyperextended. They have him wrapped up in one of those braces, and we're going to get him an MRI as soon as we can. And then Kai came down on somebody's foot, turned his ankle. We'll diagnose that and make sure, you know, knock on wood, hopefully there's nothing broken there, but definitely turned his ankle pretty good.
Now, UT didn't say if Jones or Febres will be able to play, but school officials did say they both had MRIs earlier today and they'll be evaluated again tomorrow. Now, one guy the Horns will definitely need to step up with top-ranked Baylor coming to town is Jericho Sims, who's been one of UT's most consistent players. In their 2 previous games before Tech, Sims was averaging 15 points and 9 rebounds, but he was a non-factor against the Red Raiders, going 0 for 2. He had 2 turnovers and just 4 rebounds in 19 minutes before he fouled out late in the game.
From previous games, Jericho was playing at a high level, so I guess their defensive plan was just try to take Jericho out of the game.
He was actually good early with rebounding the ball, but he got fouls, and his aggressiveness really went down. Even the couple of times where he did get the ball, he wasn't himself aggressiveness-wise. It wasn't his best day.
Now, surely the UT women's basketball team would have a good day against Texas Tech, a team the Horns had beaten 13 straight times. The latest, a 26-point win here in Austin a few weeks ago. Early on, though, the Red Raiders making some noise. Chrislyn Carr with the half-court shot at the buzzer in the first quarter gives them a 6-point lead. They led by as much as 11 in the first half, but were only up 1 at the break. Texas would take their first lead of the game early in the third quarter after LaShawn Higgs drops in 2 of her 14. Then they really took off in the fourth. Shug Sutton led the Horns with 20 as Texas takes care of business, winning at 81-66. Gary Blair's 16th-ranked Texas A&M Aggies in a top 25 matchup on the road against number 8 Mississippi State. The Aggies still without one of the nation's top players, Kennedy Carter, who missed her 7th straight game with an ankle injury. A&M didn't miss much in the second quarter. They shot 71% and led by 11 at the break. The Aggies hadn't lost all season when they were up by 10. Until now, Mississippi State storms back in the second half, and they rally to beat Texas A&M 69-57. Well, on day 2 of the new installment of the XFL, UT football fans getting a chance to see a guy they probably didn't like much in the past and probably still don't. That's former OU head coach Bob Stoops, who's now running things with the Dallas Renegades. His quarterback, a guy who played for him in college, Landry Jones, who's recovering from a knee injury, so he didn't play, but is expected to be good to go next week. Now, while the XFL isn't the NFL, the play on the field really hadn't been all that bad, and there's a lot of cool things fans get to see and hear that they normally wouldn't, like coaches calling plays, players getting interviewed during the game. You also get to listen in on replay reviews and even go inside the locker room at halftime and hear the coach. As for the game between the Renegades and the St. Louis Battlehawks, St. Louis wins it 15-9. And former Houston Oilers and Falcons head coach Jerry Glanville sporting 2 headsets out there. He's Tampa Bay's D coordinator, and he'll have the Vipers defense working on a few things after their game against the New York Guardians. His DB at the bottom of your screen there slips. Kobe Pearson gets the easy touchdown for the Guardians. New York wins this one easily, taking down Tampa Bay 23-3.
A lot of good and a lot of things we need to improve on, but there were flashes out there of how impressive and how good this team can be, especially offensively. Defense, what can I say, creating turnovers the way they did really propelled us into winning this football game.
Speaking of dominating wins, how about the 6th-ranked UT softball team? They have just been on a tear. Horns wrapping up their tournament, the Texas Classic over at McCombs Field against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. UT pitcher Miranda Ellis not only bringing it on the mound, but she can bring it at the plate as well. Cranking out a grand slam there in the 2nd inning. That's her 4th homer on the year. She hit just 6 last season. Horns remain perfect on the year, improving to 6-0 after whooping up on Texas A&M Corpus Christi 18-2 in 5 innings. That's UT's 6th straight run rule win. Texas, who hasn't played a full game yet, has now outscored their opponents 78-8. And finally, up in Florida at the Leadoff Classic, Texas State falls to the U.S. Women's National Softball Team 5-2. Destiny?
Thanks, John. Well, a Dallas area woman is thriving after suffering a heart attack over 1 year ago. After the break, learn about her journey and the warning she has for other women about heart health.
You're watching Fox 7 Austin News with Destiny Chance.
A 29-year-old Dallas woman born with a heart defect survived a heart attack about a year ago and is now exceeding her doctor's expectations. She's doing something about 1% of patients in her situation could, taking out the device that helped pump her heart. The term medical miracle may be overused, but as Fox's Shannon Murray explains, this story comes close.
My heart is working at max capacity. It is the strongest it has ever been.
Just 1 year ago, that was not the case for Heather Hooper.
So this time last year, I was in physical therapy learning how to walk up steps.
Heart health has always been a priority for Heather. She was born with a heart defect.
In my mind, it was a part of my life that was always there, and I got my regular checkups, but it had never been a major issue.
Then at 29, on a work trip in Atlanta, she went into cardiac arrest.
I started feeling very disoriented. I started sweating. I started feeling pain in my jaw, in my neck, and my back. There was a pounding in my chest. And I knew, because I've been a volunteer for the American Heart Association for almost 10 years, that something was wrong with my heart.
A colleague called 911 and she was rushed into surgery.
They were able to replace the valve and keep me alive, but I shouldn't have survived the night.
She spent days on life support in a medically induced coma. Once awake, her doctors made the decision